The history of the ultimate Muramasa Blade has now been revealed. So of course we gotta talk about that, as well as in the modern day how it traveled all the way from Hinokuni and made its way into the hands of Ultimate Wolverine. So with that said, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so coming back, this picks up with a conversation between Wolverine and Sabretooth at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant located in the western territory of the Eurasian Republic, which, as we've seen, this is the opposition's base, which was taken off the digital grid by David Haller so the opposition could use it as a base to operate from. So this is their safe space. But coming back, we find Victor approaching Logan to have a talk with him. And already Victor's like, Logan, I can tell you're not really sleeping. So if this ain't a good time, and that's where Logan's like, good time? They still make those? So jokingly, Victor's like, they're just temporarily out of stock. But I gotta say, it is nice to see these two guys in this warm-hearted, brotherly setting, as opposed to the last couple of Sabretooth Wolverine conversations we've had recently. But then it's here where Logan asks Victor what's going on. This is where Victor tells him, I came with some news. I guess I came to say goodbye. I'm leaving, Logan. And of course, Logan sees this like Victor's abandoning the opposition, with Victor choosing to willingly walk away. And that's where Victor's basically like, hear me out. Let me talk. This ain't easy. So Logan's like, all right, talk. And that's where Victor tells him the two kids I was hiding in Smolensk, Artie and Leech, they ain't over the border. They're still here. Partly because I asked them to stay. They're like us. Ain't got no family. I took a liking to them. And since they ain't got no one and I ain't got no one, well, we sort of became, I don't know, family, I guess. Close to it anyway. I look after them. And I just know that there's no future for them out there. And if they stay, they may die. Who knows what the Eurasian Republic has planned for us? I'm gonna take them away somewhere safe. Raise them, protect them, give them a good life. Away from this. And that's where Logan asks Victor if he told Mikhail. And Victor tells him, no, I can't. I know the speech he'd give me. The moment's more important than the individual. But these are good kids, Logan, and I care about them. And Logan tells him, well, sound like you made up your mind. Can't say I blame you. But this ain't a good time for the opposition. We've been taking losses. And Victor tells him, I know, I see that, but I don't want these two to be among them. And then Victor's like, look, I know you think that I didn't keep my promise to you, but I tried. I went digging and I found this. It's called the Muramasa Blade. Legend has it that it can cut keener than any other blade made by man. They say it can cut through the soul. They also say it may be the only thing that can actually kill one of us healers. And as Logan inspects it, he's nearly speechless. But Victor continues saying maybe you can give it to Kitty or Mikhail just in case. And all I ask in return is that you make me a promise. So that's where Logan's like, what kind of promise? And Victor tells him, don't tell no one about me and the kids. Give us time. Let us disappear. And that's where Logan's like, that I think I can manage. But then after this, when we head back over to the leaders of the Eurasian Republic, it's here where we find Colossus, and he's big mad because he's just now getting the news about his brother Mikhail Rasputin, who was caught on some footage leading the opposition on their last strike. And so prior to this, or better yet before Mikhail joined the opposition, he stood alongside Colossus, Illyana, and Arcady. And as we were told back in Ultimate Wolverine issue 3, it wasn't until the Mikhail massacre, which took place in spring of last year, which was also like Gambit's debut as an opposition member. Man, I would have loved to have seen it. But it wasn't until the Mikhail massacre where Mikhail faked his death and fully joined the opposition, who prior to that he had been helping from the other side. And I'll admit, up until this point, I had my suspicions of Mikhail being a double agent, because I was thinking like, what if he's just building up the opposition numbers so the Eurasian leaders could just hit them all at one time? But that's not what's going on. Because when Colossus gets this message, he's also told that they were only able to get a piece of the footage and that the signal was disrupted, and then Colossus just punches a hole in this guy. Because not only is he pissed, but he's tired of excuses. So this is where director Prestovic follows up with some solutions, because she's not about to go out like this guy just did. So she steps forward and she tells Colossus that her team has found something of interest. And that's where Colossus is like, then interest me, director, with the blood all over his hands. But the director goes on to say here, we tasked 3 Sentinel units to survey the western border. They found nothing out of the ordinary, until we realized it was not ordinary at all. This plot of land I'm showing you here is the Chernobyl power plant. And Colossus, he's looking, but he's like, I failed to see the humor in your joke, director. There is clearly nothing there. And she's like, precisely, there should be, but it's gone missing somehow. A digital search also came back the same way. Empty land. However, I took the liberty of sending a small reconnaissance team with analog equipment, and they came back with this. The plant still exists, only it's missing from all databases and files and will not appear on any digital photography or scans. So Magic's like, a telepath? And the director tells her, of a sort. one who can manipulate cyberspace, but further analog reconnaissance at the area has uncovered a small group working at the plant, working primarily at night, moving pallets of aid and weapons in and out, trucks carrying individuals. But then it's here where Omega Red steps in, telling Director Prostovic that plant is dead. And he says here the core was breached and the plant was abandoned. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. And that's where she's like, perhaps there's a mutant who can absorb the residual radiation. Or that too was a deception. However, I do believe that this is genuine. We have discovered the hidden headquarters of the opposition. So after this announcement, which is crazy because we know it's true and we know that is the opposition's base, but after the director shares this, Colossus just cuts to the chase. And he asks, are you insinuating that we should drop your Cerebomb bomb on the plant? And Director Prostovic tells him no, the bomb is not ready. Another 2 weeks at least, perhaps 3 or 4. We are making progress, but using it now would be folly. Then she's asked, so what then, Director Prostovic? We twiddle our thumbs till you are ready? But when she starts to tell them how she believes this is an opportunity, Illyana and Arcady cut in like, oh yeah, this is an opportunity, alright, for a ground assault. And Omega Red couldn't be more excited. So later on that evening, or closer towards the night rather, when we head back over towards the Chernobyl plant, it's here where we see Logan watching Victor and the kids head out. But as they're leaving, Victor sees something, and it's not something good. Because seemingly out of nowhere, a ton of missiles come flying in, and Logan gets a better view of all this than he would have liked to, because all of these missiles are heading right for him. But in Victor's case, his priority is the safety of Artie and Leech, so he makes sure to get them out of there. But on the other hand, with Logan, this sneak attack definitely has him tumbling down to the ground. Though fortunately, he doesn't land too far from the Muramasa Blade, but as soon as he looks up, he sees Omega Red, who's just like you. I know you. You forget your way home, yes? Our little winter soldier. And it just looks like Omega Red has the whole Eurasian Republic behind him, because he's brought multiple Sentinels in addition to a ton of armed soldiers. And it's funny because there's a moment here where both Logan and Arcady look over to the side at the Muramasa Blade, and just the looks on their faces say so much, because Logan's looking at it like, ooh, I need that. But right here, Arcady's only looking at it because Logan's looking at it. So it's almost like he's thinking, well, why does the Winter Soldier need that? And when Logan goes for it, he's snatched up by Omega Red just before he can reach it. And as Arcady goes to pick up the blade, he tells him like, Winter Soldier, you have gotten sloppy in your work. Director Prostovic may be able to fix that for you. So as you can tell, they still see value in taking Logan back. But also to Omega Red, Wolverine is just a piece of property that got away, nothing more. And then when Arcady picks up the Muramasa Blade, he's like, in this, you want it. What is it, Winter Soldier? A sword? But what does this sword? And right there, Logan stops him like, none of your damn business, bub. Right as he pops his claws and cuts himself free. And just before he gets to slicing into Arcady and taking the blade back. And right there, just like, man, you done messed up. So right away, Arcady uses some of the soldiers that he brought to absorb their life force and restore himself, which I imagine is the only reason why he brought these guys in the first place, just for the extra HP, which says a lot about how this Omega Red goes to battle, and dare I say, what he thinks of his own people. And that's going to be pretty important when we get to some of the extra details towards the end of this issue. But in the here and now, Arcady tells Logan, your friends, they abandoned you, which could be in a way referring to Victor, who had a good reason to take off. But then when we look back at Logan, this guy's got the opposition right there with him, including the newer recruits like Angel and Iceman. And so Mikhail asks Omega Red like, hey Arcady, have you come to join us too? Which I mean is clearly not the case, but it is a funny way to start the conversation. But Arcady's like, no Mikhail, you have betrayed the Republic, your family. Treason is a crime punishable by death. But you commit treason against your brother and sister and your friend. I have come to destroy you. And Mikhail is just like, you are, as ever, mistaken, old friend. Which in a way I'd say just goes to show how confident Mikhail is in the opposition, especially with their new additions, as they go up against Omega Red, as well as the Sentinels he's brought with him and the soldiers. But then there's a moment here where we cut away from the action, and we head back over to Colossus, who looks to be having a very chill moment here. Like as soon as I saw this, it looks like he listening to some looking out across the nighttime. The city wakes a sleepless eye. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Hear her voice. And then somebody walks in, talk about Leader Rasputin. And Colossus is like, what? But no, seriously, they come telling him, I'm sorry to bother you, but I have news. And that's when they walk in and approach him with a box, while saying, from the Chernobyl operation, sir, only this box has returned thus far. It says it's from your brother, Mikhail. and he tells Colossus that he didn't look inside. So first Colossus reads the note that's on top from Mikhail with it saying, "Dearest brother and sister, I must return your gift as I found it unacceptable." And as he opens the box, I know, what's in the box? But as he opens the box, he looks inside and it's Arcady's head, which was removed by Logan with the Muramasa Blade. But after Colossus sees this, he's pissed. And then he reads the last part of the letter, which says, "Do not send a Rossovich to do a Rasputin's job." So yeah, you know Colossus is about to get active after this. But another thing that we're shown here is a newspaper article that mentions the ancient Hinokuni sword has gone missing. And this gives us a bit of the history of the ultimate Muramasa Blade leading up to modern day. And even though there is no date on this particular news article, it appears to have been published during the time when Logan was still the Winter Soldier, during the time when Victor was still looking for a solution, or at least that's the safe bet on the time period. Because also the picture in the article is like from Ultimate Invasion, just before the city was attacked by a future duplication glitch army. But as far as what we're told in this article, which mainly has quotes from Emperor Yoshida's spokesperson, who's likely Viper, but it goes on to talk about the history of the Muramasa Blade, but in a very general sense, with it mentioning how the sword was forged by the master swordsmith and warrior Muramasa, and how it was used by him in the legendary raid of Okinawa, which left Muramasa and 10,000 others dead. And it mentions here how over time the sword grew a reputation and how it was called the Demon Blade, and how over time rumors grew about the sword being cursed, because many of the swordsmen who owned it after fell to unfortunate deaths. But all in all, the Sun Emperor believes the sword was stolen by his enemies, and he has a lot of enemies, so that doesn't really narrow it down. But his spokesperson went on to say, "Our enemies wish to wash our culture from history, to destroy us, but we will not, cannot allow that to happen. We are a formidable people, and those who wish ill on us will find that out firsthand." So yeah, whenever this article came out, this was the Sun Emperor and Viper and the Silver Samurai letting everyone know that they're not going to let this slide. And aside from this, we see breaking news from August 30th, where when this came out, Omega Red was still alive, and he had basically done an interview where he denied the claims that were dished out coming from the American Union's publication called The Paper, which as we know is backed by J. Jonah Jameson and Ben Parker. And this whole interview was really just him talking about how it's all fake news, because there were even times where the paper had mentioned how witnesses said that Omega Red didn't show up till after the fight in certain battles, which really just goes back to what I said earlier about Omega Red not caring for his people. Because even with him trying to express how the paper is just lying about him being this dirty fighter who sacrifices his men and basically steals their valor, Omega Red is fighting for his life in his interview to make it seem like he's the hero. And I'll admit, seeing this, it has me thinking back on things like how ready he was to get out there and go after the opposition, as if it were a way just to make him look better. Because now, after knowing that Ben and Jonah had basically exposed this guy, it makes it hard to believe that he's as brave or as noble as he would claim to be. And it also makes the last few words of Mikhail's note hit a little bit harder too. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think, because I can only imagine the next lie that's going to be cooked up or manufactured is probably going to try to make him out to be some kind of hero, or a martyr, so to speak. But yeah, either way, I can't wait to see what happens next. And with that said, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments, because this Ultimate Wolverine series is really heating up as we get closer to the Maker's return. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants some more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.